Okay. Wow. Incredible. Welcome to Sunday Night Live in them there United States and over here in the real world. It's Monday morning. Sawadi Kap, Aloha, Namaste, Namaskar, and however else one may uh, express salutations in your country, where you are honoring the divinity within the person or people. Anyway, sorry I'm late. I got a new Osmo, brand new. Bought it yesterday because the other one, after 3 months, stopped working, and of course they couldn't fix it. So I got it, and guess what? It works with Zoom and everything. It doesn't hook up to Restream, so I can't. And why doesn't it do it? No one knows, or I don't know. Probably someone knows. I'm probably yeah, and it's probably very simple, but I can't do it. So I'm back on the old webcam stuff here. Yay! So good morning. Uh, I'm saying good morning to myself. So interesting. Good morning, Melody, and to Melody's mom and dad. And who am I talking to myself? Who's that? Huh. Anyway, very interesting. So here we are, and I always get frustrated. I guess I should try to set this up like at 5 a.m. So I'm not. So by the time it starts, I'm cool again. But if I started at 5 a.m., I'd be spending the whole 2 hours trying to get that going, right? Um, anyway. Somebody wants to be in my live video. I don't know what that means. I wish someone would tell me. So someone should tell me. Hey, everybody, Sweaty Cop. Ah, you actually did that. I see. Huh. Anyway, so here we are. So let's get started with some uh, questions, and I want to just remind everybody that whatever platform you're on right now, as you know, it's whatever they are except for X. It's at Dr. Thomas Lodi, Dr. Thomas Lodi, Dr. Thomas Lodi, and the X one is at Dr. Thomas Lodi, MD. Just so you keep that in mind. But we're on YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and as you know, this whole format is that I'm going to answer questions that are sent in, and I won't be able to really get involved, answer, and interact with you like this. So that's why I made the groups so we could do that. So please join the groups. Right there's the health and healing, which talks about what is health and how to stay there, and how to get there. And the other one is on parasites, which is a big deal. And then the other one is on CFCs, chronically fermenting cells, which some people refer to as, you know, that word, don't you? Right? Everyone knows that word. I hate to say it. I feel like, and I always feel like I'm obligated to say it because there's somebody new who doesn't know that that word is what it is. And we have to understand that a word is creates. And I do not use that word create at all, unless I'm talking about God. I don't create a website. You don't create a you don't create anything, because to create means out of nothing you produce something. No one does that. No one. No one. So God does that. And it's not out of nothing, actually. But Anyway, so the words in the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God, and God said, "Let there be," and it's just the way it is. So the words create, produce. Without the word, which is the concept, which is what? What's a concept? The concept is a what? What is a concept? What is it? What is an image? A picture in your mind. What is it? You can't define it. It's some sort of non-physical symbol of some aspect of reality. We think that's reality. I mean, what I'd like everyone to understand is that we have no idea about anything really, and whatever you think you know, you don't. You don't know it. Well, I know 1 and 1 is 2. Okay, except mathematics. I can't argue with mathematics. But other than math, what else do we know? Anyway, I was trying to explain this the other night in Thai, and my Thai is like, my vocabulary is very, very limited. So I was trying to explain this in Thai that that when we think, what do we think? What are we using to think? We're using words and we're using pictures, images, flashes, right? Like if you're thinking about somebody, what does that mean? Like you're sitting there and you're thinking about your mother, you're thinking about your friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your boss, your enemy. What do you think? What does that mean? You're thinking. Well, it's probably some image, a vague image, unless you're thinking of a specific incident. It's probably a vague image of their face, or maybe you view them as the whole body and big, or so it's an image. And then there's a word that we use to communicate, and it also, the word gives it definition. It distinguishes it from all other things that could possibly be in the universe. That's what the word does. um, anyway, neither words nor images are what we're talking about. So if I'm saying the word chair and the image of a chair, neither of which are chairs, they are symbols of a chair. They're symbolic of a chair. Therefore, they're not the chair. They're symbols. So anything that's in my mind is symbolic of reality. It's not reality. If you take the ity off it, you have what? It's not real. So it's not real. It's in my mind. And so to make it real, I give it a word, and the word makes it real. So now I'm looking at my desk, and I'm 2 years old, and I don't. It's just a big blur to me. I don't just. And then I find out about uh, these things. I find out, and I can say that I'm trying to. My parents are trying to get me to say tofu. Anyway, I'm like getting this word, and once I have the word and the thing, and then I'll see it everywhere now. I know, and a lot of you probably like, what the hell is he talking about? Why don't we get on with the program? It's very important, and I wish you would just know that and just trust me on that, and go there with me, because we're going to get to that stuff. We're going to get to the, should I use this? Should I use that? The answer is yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes. And so there, since the answer is no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, it doesn't help me to tell you no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. That's what it helps me to do, is give you all the information so you can say, in this particular situation, no. In that sense, yes. You need to know how to answer those questions. That's what you're really asking me. How do I answer these? How do I understand this? You think you're saying, I want to know this particular thing. You don't really want to know this particular thing. I mean, you do, but then there's a billion other particular things. You want to have an understanding so that you have an understanding. Okay, so don't get impatient. Understand what I'm saying right now. The words are important because they kill you. They will kill you. They will kill you. They do kill you. or seeing. That more than anything, more than vitamin C, more than a med bed, more than anything, the words. And I know that you don't believe it. I mean, I know that you don't know it. It's not a believing again. Remember, it's not, because it's true. So I know that you don't know that what I'm saying is true. And you think this guy is, and if you just came to this channel, you're saying, what am I watching? Okay, so we'll forget all that stuff. Forget all the real stuff, because philosophy is the real stuff. Why? Because it's the foundation of everything else. And it's where it's out of which our assumptions arise. And it's these assumptions that are kind of like they establish paradigms, which gives you what's called the perceptual set. You know what a perceptual set is? Perceptual set is, in psychology, it's a mental construct predisposition to perceive things in a specific way. Now, to perceive, what is to perceive? To perceive is to take sensory input and to make something out of it. And so we have to understand what that means. I don't care if it's a touch, a taste, a vision, a sound, a smell, any sense is just, whatever the sensory organ is, it ultimately turns into an electronic impulse down your nerves, which go to your brain, to specific areas of the brain. And when they arrive at that specific area, they go, and they go to a trillion other different places, because of all your memory, every circuitry that you've been down, and you come up with a perception. So your perception of something is you're taking all the sensory input and you're connecting it with your entire history of everything, and you're coming up with a conclusion, and that conclusion is your perception. So your perceptual set, your perceptual set is affected by your motivation, right? It's affected by your physiological state. It's affected by your history. It's affected by your mood. So many things affect your perceptual set, and your perceptual set is going to determine what you conclude out of being in a situation, talking to someone, going to a restaurant, studying, driving. Okay. Anyway. Hey, from Singapore, greetings. So I can see, you guys want to know. Listen, I don't care about this forest, and I don't care that the forest is made up of trees. I want to know, what is that little spot on that tick on the leaf of that tree? That's what I want to know. And I also want to know. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna get into the ticks. Let's talk about the spot on the tick on the leaf on the tree in the forest. Okay, we'll do that. That's what you're into. I know it. And listen, you're all at war. You got to get out of war. You're at war. I can see it. You're at war. You're at war. You're at war. You're looking. What am I? Is this a good weapon? Can I kill this now? Huh? What are you killing? I'm killing that thing. Why? Because that's the enemy. That's the enemy. Okay. What's that? It's the enemy. What is it? How do you know it's the enemy? So I would love, I gotta have a session where we're not talking about these things, and we're like, we'll call it the paradigm explorers. Let's explore the paradigms. Let's figure out what a paradigm is. How did I get here? What is it? What am I seeing? Okay? Because the point is this: Have you ever seen a schizophrenic in the streets? I'm sure you have. Schizophrenia is defined as, I mean, it's got a lot of definitions, but the thing that distinguishes schizophrenia from other psychoses is the fact that they hear voices, right? Um, and when I say psychoses, I mean several. There's different kinds of psychoses. What's the difference between a psychosis and a neurosis? A neurosis, you still agree on the reality. You still agree with everyone else about what's real and what's not, pretty much, right? But in psychoses, completely different perspective on what's real. They have a different reality, and we call it psychosis. He's crazy. He's crazy because he doesn't agree with us, right? That's what it is. Okay. Anyway, so the schizophrenic is hearing voices and responding to them, and you've probably seen them like talking to somebody, or like that. Uh, and God, I forgot why I was telling you that. Anyway, what parasites might be responsible for bipolar and the dewormer that would help? All right. Well, so I said, I don't use, I shouldn't read. We should get to the questions that were submitted. However, this brings up a very good point. It kind of corroborates what I'm saying here. A parasite. What parasite might cause bipolar and the dewormer that get rid of it? So you understand. So what we're doing here, Jen, is what you're doing, and what we all do is we're looking for the enemy. We're looking for the thing or being or whatever is that's going to get us, and we're ready, and we want to how to kill it. This is the mindset we have. I'm telling you, you thank JDR, John D. Rockefeller, right? We're probably one of the greatest geniuses ever. Now, genius doesn't have to be pleasant, not like a Nikola Tesla, who's a genius could be an evil genius, right? And but he's not. He's beyond evil, right? It's like Satan, a child of Satan, the head son of Satan. Uh, so, uh, but he did this whole thing, and now we've got the disease theory. So now, okay, but please understand this. I'm not saying that these things aren't. I'm not saying that these aren't relevant to causing our situation, such as smoking cigarettes is definitely relevant to developing certain conditions, um, eating that, being exposed to radiation. These are definitely relevant to it, but it's never that one thing in and of itself. It is everything that has accumulated in your life. All right, so I have to understand that. And guess what? Your perception of it, because your perception controls. Your perception is kind of the. It's a It's a picture. It's a concept which we can't define. That's controlling your brain, which is controlling your organs, like your thyroid, your adrenals, all of that. It's controlling the blood flow so it's which organs are going to get turned on and which organs are going to not. Uh, it can actually cause you to have coronary spasm and die. This can do anything. And by the way, it's a really amazing computer. We'll never make one anywhere like it. So if you walk around or sit around and lie around and spend most of your lives afraid of this happening to you, I'm afraid I'm going to get. I'm afraid I'm going to get. So your mind is all day, even when you're not knowing it, forming this thing that you're afraid of. You're making it. You're giving it existence. How? Because you're giving it words. The word. I'm afraid of. Right, right. Alice, thank you for clarifying for me. Yeah. So I guess Lewis. There's a slew of them. A slew of what? Probably because the government decided to mind control. But I bought a CS brewer. Probably because the government decided to mind control. There's a Wow, okay, I'm not sure. I can't. Chronically fermenting cells is the biology of what they call cancer, and cancer is not a thing, does not exist. It's a adaptive process, an adaptive process when the cells lose the ability to use oxygen. They have to adapt quickly and figure out how to make energy, and that's what they do. They ferment. Got it? That's it. That's simple. Simple. It's nothing more than that. Uh, all right. So now, all of that being said, let's get on with the show. And the show is what? Answering questions. Where did I put the questions? Here? No, of course not. Oh, that's right. I turned off the computer, then turned it back on so I could see. I could try to get the camera to work, but of course it didn't work. And I wound up with good. Okay. And wow, it happened. Imagine. Okay, so I've got everything here, and I've got that. Okay. So first question is by and wait, let me make sure that uh, huh. Anyway, how am I gonna do this? I'm gonna make I'll make this like this. Yeah, that really helps a lot. My God. Anyway, okay. Uh, first question is uh, all right. First question is from Cindy. Can you take praziquantel if you have parasites in your eyes? I was told you can't. Can't. What did they say? Um, well, first of all, good morning, everybody. Let's say good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I mean, good evening for you. Good morning. Unless you're over here. Uh, and you should be. Well, there's no shoulds in the world because shoulds aren't, so I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, so you're saying you have ocular parasites. There's only a couple of ways you can get parasites in your in your eyes. So I'm not sure how you know because, you know, uh, anyway, so the parasites that we know of that get in the eye are uh there's basically two kinds. You know the Tinea solum, which is a tapeworm, the larva. What they do is they form cysts, and we've talked about that in the past. As a cyst, as a protective. So if things are getting rough on them, they form a cyst, which is just a protection for them. Um, but it's highly resistant to our body's ability to break it down, and they'll lodge in the brain. It's called cysticercosis, sister cyst, not like a sister or not like a sibling, sister, CYS, cosis, cirrhosis. That's all. Anyway, it can go in your brain, lungs, liver. It can be these cysts can be anywhere, and they can be in your and put that. Okay, that's they form that. The larva, which are it comes from it's an egg and then it comes out of the egg and it's a larva. right? And then it becomes an adult. That's called the stages. So anyway, these larvae can be in your eye. And the other one is Onchocerca that we know of, which is also known as onchocerciasis, also known as river blindness, which is what 250 million people around the world have it. It's more, and it's interesting. Both of these conditions are more that they occur in South America and Africa, pretty much. But so that's the thing is, if you haven't been down there, then you had to have had some way of contacting them, coming in contact with them. There's also, another one called Loa Loa, but that you wouldn't, that gets into the eye. But so there's not many. And so I'm not sure how you got, but if you're sure you have this situation, then so the thing with praziquantel is this: the if it's if it is the tinea, the larva of a tapeworm, and you use the praziquantel to kill it, which it will, the dead larva produces an extremely potent, powerful inflammatory reaction, and it damages the eye. And that's the problem. So praziquantel is good at what it does. Now, albendazole does the same thing, but it's not as severe the reaction. However, it is. So sometimes they even go in and surgically remove these things just so you don't have to have the problem of the inflammatory response. And then, so what the treatment is, they usually get some corticosteroid like prednisone or whatever, some powerful steroid, strong to really reduce your inflammatory, and then give you the drug. So, yeah, I'm just not sure how you know and when, and so that's that. So, if you're gonna take the praziquantel and you have, that's there, then you've got to be sure you really, the only time I would ever say you got to take steroids, because if you don't, you'll lose your eye, because you got to prevent that inflammatory response. Okay, so and remember, these tapeworms, they actually prefer living in muscle. They love living in the muscle, and that's like their favorite place. And now the other one, the onchocerciasis, river blindness. Latin America, Mexico, Brazil, Guatemala, all those countries are in South America and Central America, but also Southeast Asia, like India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and a place called Thailand. Yeah, yeah. China, Indonesia, and then Sub-Saharan Africa, right? Nigeria, Cameroon, South Africa. Anyway, so kind of like around a little bit above the equator and below it, pretty much seems that way, right? And then you've got Middle Eastern countries like Iran and Iraq and Yemen. So, and they all pretty much taking ivermectin, and the reason they take ivermectin. So, what happens is with these same things, this particular situation is where the these flies, they're called black flies. They breed near these rivers that have this the parasites, the larva of this parasite, and so it gets onto these flies, and when the flies land on a human and bite them, they get it, right? So, um, and it is the larva. So they go into the larva. They go through your skin. They're in the subcutaneous tissue, and they turn into worm. Adults. I mean, but they're still small. And then they have and then they release these microfilaria, and they travel around. They go through. You can see them in the eye and stuff like that. Yeah, they cause itching. It's kind of a bummer, I imagine. But so they use doxycycline and the ivermectin, right? Okay, so and the okay, so the ivermectin, it's two different things. It doesn't kill the adult, but the adult depends on, it's very weird. The adult depends on this other little parasite, and it kills. So the doxycycline kills that little parasite inside the cell that the parasite, it kills a bacteria in the parasite that the parasite needs to live, and so it dies. Pretty weird. That's what the doxycycline does, right? And so so the treatment is both, right? So you take the ivermectin and the doxycycline, and because the ivermectin is good at killing what do you call it? The filaria. I'm sorry, uh, the larva. It kills the larva, but not the adults. And the adults are surviving because they have this bacteria, right? And so the doxycycline kills it. So it works. It works. Um, and again, you would give again some steroids to prevent the inflammation um, from killing them. Because when you kill them, you got a dead body. Dead bodies cause inflammation. All right. So that's how that works. So I don't know if you really have it. So you have to really be sure of what you're talking about here. And so were you bit by, have you traveled? Is it possible that happened to you? Or have you been like very close with somebody who did or something? It's not like, it's not easy to get those. All right. So what's our next question? Okay, the next question is from Carol. Does organic collagen powder feed tumor cells, CFCs? Does it feed that? Okay, so, um, well, yeah. Let me explain. Let me explain to you about viruses, killing viruses and parasites. Yes, yes, yes. Kimberly, I will. All right. Collagen is a protein made by our bodies and all animals' bodies. Um, and it basically serves as the uh, it is like this. It's the structure of you. It's what holds everything together, right? So when you lose your collagen, your skin just sags, right? So it kind of holds everything together, gives it form, gives it shape, and also it's doing many things. So I mean, it produces chemicals and it serves as a highway, and so it has other functions other than just giving structure and form to the body. And it's, as you know, it's dependent on vitamin C, right? And that's why when people get scurvy, which is end stage vitamin C deficiency, uh, they lose the structure, right? And they like their teeth fall out and they're bleeding everywhere, and the skin is sagging, and yeah, that's just what you can see. But that's only one of the things that vitamin C deficiency does. It's the one that's the most noticeable. Uh, hey, Kathy. Good morning. Yeah, the land of smiles. Lodi Cop. What do they used to call it? See, I forget how they said it. Anyway, yay. Are we lucky to be here? Tell me we're not lucky. Every morning I say, well, yeah, wow, look where I am. How did this happen? Anyway, uh, so okay, so that's what so collagen is a protein. Proteins are what? 100 or more amino acids. What's an amino acid? An amino acid is a nitrogen connected to a carbon in the form of a carboxylic acid and an amino group, which is nitrogen. That's what it is. That combination can form uh, amino acids, which can form peptides and proteins. And a peptide is less than 100 amino acids, and a protein is more than amino acids. Yeah. Why can't they just call them either everything's a big peptide and little peptides, or everything's a big protein or a little protein? um, words again, right? It's peptide. Nah, it's protein. Anyway. So now there are different types of collagen, type 1, type 2. The type 1 collagen actually is almost like the supervisor of it kind of controls the production. Now, it's interesting. Who makes these? How do these things get made? Uh, what They're made by cells in our body called fibroblasts. All right, and fibroblasts are kind of they make the matrix, the extracellular matrix. The scaffolding to it. The fibers and all that. What is the extracellular matrix? It's the environment in which cells live. So it's got structural components, and it's got a liquid, and that's it. That's where the cells live, and the cells are doing whatever they're doing. Your cells in your body are doing whatever they're doing in response to this biochemical soup that they live in. That's got some, wall or not walls, but there's different rooms in there, and those different rooms are by collagen. All right, so um, now when a fibroblast gets into, so by the way, let's just go into, if you eat a protein, I don't care where it comes from, your body can't use it. You can't use protein. You've got to break it down into amino acids, then you can absorb the amino acids, and then your body will make proteins. And the proteins that it'll make are the proteins that it needs. It's not going to say, it's not going to make, it's not necessarily going to make. If I eat collagen, if I swallow collagen, and you do every day, if you eat animal corpses, then you're getting collagen. But right, and so what do eat? Are nuggets are is a nugget a joint, like chicken nuggets? Are you eating a chicken joint, like a? I don't know. Anyway, but you wind up getting some collagen. But you can also get collagen in supplements. People take collagen, and that's what this question is about: organic collagen. But again, when they sell the organic collagen, they're not selling the entire proteins. What they're doing is they break them up into peptide fragments, right? And so you're getting peptide fragments. So you're getting collagen peptides. Peptides are smaller, right? And they can be really small. I mean, 2 amino acids is a dipeptide, 3 is a tripeptide, tetrapeptide. So, um, so it's just, and smaller peptides are easier to break down and absorb and all that. So, and that's what they do. So, question is, does it help at all? Because when you get these amino acids absorbed into your body, they kind of go into the amino acid pool, which makes it available to all cells who are in the process of building something, right? It's kind of the part, the conveyor belts of peptides here and fats here, and all these building parts. And so if you get those amino acids that are needed for collagen, and you happen to be in a place where around the fibroblast, it's going to use them. But it's basically proline, hydroxyproline, and are really the ones that are kind of necessary for the production of collagen. And of course, to keep those stable, you need ascorbate, vitamin C. So anyway, now here's the interesting thing. When it comes to CFCs, right? These fibroblasts are called CAFs, cancer-associated fibroblasts. Hate the word, but that's what they're called. These guys are not like regular fibroblasts. And why are they changed? They've changed because of what the tumor microenvironment, which is what lots of acid and a little bit of oxygen. Hypoxic, acidic, and you've changed the entire functioning of a cell, and it becomes with that. And it's just like the macrophages become tumor-associated macrophages, TAMs, tumor-associated neutrophils. So anyway, all these changes happen because of the tumor microenvironment. So now, so what happens? So collagen type 1, which is actually the most abundant protein in our bodies, got a lot of it. It's increased in when you have the CAFs, or let's call them tumor-associated fibroblasts. Okay. And what happens is one of the things that it does is that it releases glutamine, because that's an amino acid, glutamine, which is a secondary fuel source for CFCs, right? So CFCs eat or drink, or breathe, love glucose and glutamine, because they're both ways of getting fuel and for getting building blocks to make things the cell needs. It's not just for fuel, right? So anyway, there's something called a desmoplastic reaction that results in CFCs, and that is that these fibroblasts make a lot of collagen and other extracellular products, and so it gets thick around it. That allows for the cells to migrate like through highways, and so it promotes metastasis. All right, so and it's critical for it. It's critical. So and what's interesting is that they produce these in different forms. So for example, in a healthy collagen formation, it's going to have certain cross linkings and vertical, and it's going to be formed in a certain way. So that's necessary for the healthy flow of your vessels and your nerves and stuff. So but with the CFCs and the producing these CAFs, these fibroblasts make it's a different form of the collagen, and it's got more of the long vertical ones that allow for it's like a superhighway. Let's get out of here. Let's go to another part of the body, and they do that, right? So that's kind of what happens. All right. So that is a lot. So the question is, if I eat collagen or get collagen in my body, am I going to help or hurt or harm or have any effect? No one really knows. There's no studies that show that, yeah, it happens. Yeah, I mean, there's some studies that show that there's some different, you can get some, anyway, there's some clinical benefit in your joints and, other things like that. But in terms of CFCs, there's really nothing that happens. So this desmoplastic reaction that occurs with pancreatic, colon, breast. Anyone, most of the ones that they've studied have this desmoplastic where it gets the environment changes. So the tumor microenvironment not only has acid, oxygen, low oxygen, high acid, but you have to understand when you change the pH, which is acid, you can completely change a molecule into a Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You just change it. pH is critical. It's a critical factor of biology, right? pH and temperature are like really fundamental physical properties that determine how the shape of proteins. I mean, it's just really fundamental. Okay, so that's what the tumor microenvironment is. So you wind up with this desmoplastic reaction, and you've got tumor, and it's okay. Uh, so it's necessary for the progression. So here's the interesting thing. So we know that ascorbate is necessary, right? Ascorbate is part of in order to make the collagen, it's necessary. So you say, well, the guy, I don't want to have ascorbate. I don't want vitamin C because it's going to make this collagen that's going to help it metastasize. I don't want that. And that's kind of, in one way, you can say, well, that's happening. However, it's found out that the low levels of ascorbate actually prevent that from happening, and the high levels prevent it from happening. Turns out ascorbate wins all the way around. It's ridiculously amazing. It's kind of like water. If you think about water, water is just two different atoms, an oxygen and a hydrogen. It's got two of the hydrogens, one of the oxygen, and it's in a certain formation, and it's what? What? Did you ever study what water does? It's it's like, yeah, this is one place where you would use the word awesome. It's awesome. I promise you, it's awesome. Uh, and I'm going to go over the water at some point. But anyway, so it turns out, so when you have ascorbate, what's it going to do with the collagen? Because we're talking about collagen, right? And we don't want the nasty collagen, right? The kind that's going to promote tumor metastasis, right? And so the so we know at lower doses, ascorbate is an antioxidant. It donates electrons and it neutralizes dangerous free radicals, which is really good, right? So it reduces oxidative stress, so which is going to contribute to the production of CFCs anyway. Now, when you get in a high concentration of ascorbate, you wind up with a pro-oxidant effect because it's still donating an electron, but in this case, it donates it to something, to either cupric or ferric, which are iron or copper in a particular state or valence, and it changes it to cuprous or ferrous from cupric and ferric. Okay, so and in so doing produces peroxides, which kills CFCs because they don't have a lot of catalase to neutralize it. No. Anyway, so so whether you got high or low ascorbates, it's going to help in that regard. All right. Now, uh, the other thing is that when the CAFs are the fibroblasts that are in there making all this nasty collagen, the ascorbate actually can wind up causing it to encapsulate the tumor so it can't grow, walls it off. It's kind of neat. Uh, the other thing ascorbate does, it turns off angiogenesis, right? Blocks blood vessel growth. We know that through its work through the um, what do you call it? The deoxygenase enzymes, which counteract HIF1 alpha, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it stops angiogenesis. It blocks angiogenesis. And it modulates the immune system. What does it do? It increases the function of neutrophils, T cells, B cells, macrophage. It just ascorbate, you mean vitamin C? Yeah. You get stronger T cells and all that. What else does it do? It has, in terms of the CFCs, it also has epigenetic modifications. Because remember, when a cell has to change to a chronically fermenting cell because it's lost its oxygen, it turns off this and turns on that to try to survive, right? Those are called epigenetic changes. So, which means that it has to silence certain parts of the DNA and then expose other parts of the DNA so that the genetic expression, in other words, what the cell is doing, has changed. That happens on a biochemical level by adding methyl groups. What's a methyl group? It's a carbon with 4 hydrogens, that's all, which acts like a cap. You put a cap on something that can't move, kind of, right? So they gets methylated. And here comes a scorbate hanging out with these guys that are on patrol to say, hey, here's methylation that doesn't need to be there, and they demethylate it. Scorbate needs to be there. It's another kind of dioxygenase enzyme. So it'll rewrite the new code that was required to have for it to be a CFC. You got to understand how wow that is. Okay, that's wow. Okay, and you know it also it winds up reactivating the tumor suppressor genes that were turned off. You know, the P21, the PTEN, and the P53, and some other ones that got turned off in order for the cell to be better at fermenting. It can turn them back on. Right? It turns back on. Right? Pretty cool. Anyway, I just wanted to add that in because ascorbate is so connected. It's so relevant when you're talking about collagen. So the answer to your question is we don't know what happens when you eat collagen, take collagen, and its effect on the on CFCs. We don't know really. We know there's some effect with joints and stuff like that, and that's only because the collagen, when it's broken down into the amino acids, will have like these 3 or 4 abundant of those 3 or 4, you know, like the proline, hydroxyproline, that are really necessary for the collagen formation. And if you have a lot of one thing, then it kind of let the cell goes with it. Whoa, Kimberly, you didn't ask that question, did you? You're not new. I've seen you. I thought I've seen you here before. Anyway, how much sodium ascorbate a day? You can only absorb 200 milligrams, so you're going to take 2 teaspoons of pure sodium ascorbate powder, and you can put in 1 liter of water. That'll be 8 grams, and you're going to sip it very slowly from 7 to 7, because if you have to make 1 liter stretch from 7 to 7, you know it's going to be small amounts, probably around 200-300 milligrams, and you'll probably absorb 90% of it. If you took it all at once, you would just pee it out. And the other thing you're going to do to make sure is you're going to get sodium ascorbate, liposomal sodium ascorbate, and you can take like 2 grams of that like 3 or 4 times a day. That's going to make sure that you have sufficient ascorbates in your body. And I'm telling you, the one when we get IV vitamin C, it only takes us it gives us one of the benefits, but the other 5, 6, 8 incredible requirements to eliminate CFCs you get from just having the normal amount orally. And I think if we had the normal amount, we would never develop CFCs. Yeah, you're not new. I didn't think so. I'm surprised you asked that question. But that's cool. That's cool. Did you get the answer? I hope you did. 8 grams in a liter of water. This is just water, so I took a bigger sip. The sip you would take if you're doing sipping 7-7, like this. Yeah. You can absorb all that, and maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, another little one. That's how you do it. Yeah, that's how you do it. Why aren't you guys on the groups? Because we could be answering all these questions and have a dialogue. You come on and I come on and we see each other. We talk. Why don't you guys join the groups? Come on. I gotta stay with these questions. All right. So your question, Carol, was does organic collagen powders feed CFC tumors? And the answer is I don't know. Or in Thailand, as they say, melu. They love to say melu. Melu mungan. Melu mungan. Because if you're asking the question, they say, I don't know either. Anyway. The answer is more likely to be yes and no. Meaning, under some situations, yeah, will influence it. Other situations, in other words, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And if you're taking collagen for another reason, like usually people take it for skin and I guess right, most women take it, or even men, they take it for skin. They're hoping to improve their skin. I wish I did because I certainly need it. But anyway, there's some evidence in that it does. Remember, you can't use someone else's peptide or protein. You still got to break it down into amino acids. You still have to be able to, you'll absorb those, and then they'll go and be wherever they're directed to go and be used as parts, not necessarily collagen, unless you got a lot of proline, hydroxyproline around them. Anyway, so these answers, they're not really, it's impossible to answer them. Now, here's a question from Net. So a friend has just got home from 2 months in hospital with diverticulitis. No surgery. She is 63 years, 5'5". The hospital was not letting her leave from the hospital as they were going to make her go into a care home until her daughter agreed to take care of her. Then she was only allowed to leave with her daughter. Whoa, wait a minute. Actually, I did a little post the other day about the difference between hospitals and prisons. Not much. Oh my God, did he say? Yeah. First of all, what happens when you get into a hospital? And what happens when you go into prison? Take your clothes off, and they put you in there, either a uniform or this gown in the back opens, just to keep you humiliated, lose your personal identity. Yeah, now you're just another patient. Yeah. So now what? Well, you're confined. You got to stay here. You got to stay there. In both places, they tell you, use where you got to be. This is where you got to be. Can't go over there. You got to be here. Oh, and by the way, your schedule is this is what you're going to be doing. No, what you want to do. This is what you're going to be doing in both situations. Yes, same. And the food, well, they call it food, but we know it's not. It maybe some of it was maybe once was food, and so eating once was food is not to be recommended. So they're eating a lot of once was food and never was food stuff, and yeah. Okay, so they both have institutionalized stuff that people that they have to eat. And then release is dependent upon them. If the doctors say, okay, you're ready for discharge, like in this situation, or the prison says your parole is up or whatever, you can go to parole now. You can be paroled. So, and of course, prisons, you wind up staying a lot longer. But the hospitals have that special doorway that no other place in the world, no other building has this doorway. It's called the morgue. Okay, so I am going to stay out of a building that goes to the morgue. Because when you go into that building, what you're doing is it's like your last step before the morgue. I'm like, hey, I'm not ready for the morgue. Not me. I'm not ready. I know it's going to happen. I will. That's going to happen clearly. I mean, yeah, and I'm cool with that because I know it's just a doorway, but not yet. Anyway, so to me, a hospital is what they call a hospital. Hospitality. That comes from the same word as hospitality. You tell me that it's their hospital in there. The only place you're going to find hospitality in a hospital is where? In the plastic surgery unit. Why? Because you are clients. You paid them in advance a lot of money so that they could, and they got to they want to make you happy, and they're going to give you tea and special waters and pamper you and make you feel like you're really special. And so you're going to come back because you like that. And, but you're not in the plastic surgery unit. You're just a patient. And by the way, the morgue's over there and the front door's over there. And we've already decided which door you're going out of. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a freak. I mean, I'm a freak, but I'm not. But this is what I'm saying is true. Yeah, whether you know it or not. So, and here, this guy the net just told us the thing. Look, the hospital is not letting her leave from the hospital as they were going to make her go into a care home. What is a care home? You think they care in a care home? They care? They don't care. They use that word. What is it? It's a place where you keep elderly people and you control them. And you think they care? There are nice nurses that do care, of course. But in general, the whole environment of a care home, go to one. If you don't think I'm out of my mind, go visit a few care homes. Okay, so but the daughter agreed to take her, and she was only then allowed to leave with her daughter. It's like you're on parole. You can only visit this person. You can't visit that. Okay, she does not want to ever go back, and is terrified of having flare-ups. She does not want to go back. I wouldn't either, because she might not get out. She has never done any type of parasite cleanse or taken any meds for parasite removal, even though her daughter bought all kinds of animals into their home through childhood and teenage years, as she wanted to be a veterinarian. She also was a child care provider for children 2 years to 7 years old and 5 years, and has always been a single mother, now grandmother. Previously, she had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and was having pain in her legs. They said it was arthritis and pain in feet and feels like fire burning. She was prescribed Lyrica. After finding out how dangerous Lyrica is, she wanted to go off it, which she may have done too rapidly, and has some brain fog or cognitive issues relating to memory and thinking of words to use while speaking. In the hospital, she was also given an antidepressant. And so when she left the hospital, she stopped taking it. I'm writing on her behalf to advise so that she does not get caught in hospital industry trap. Some well-meaning friends have suggested fenben, ivermectin, and hydroxychloroquine, as diverticulitis is in the gut and colon may also be related to many years of pets and animals. She is also very hesitant to consult with her doctor, as she has never felt any healthcare provider has ever had her well-being a priority. Well, yeah, that's true. Absolutely, they don't care. The word care should leave them. They can't be called healthcare providers, healthcare facilities, because they don't care, and they can't use the word health because they don't know what it is and they don't know how to help you get there. Yeah, they should just not use those. So you're from Canada. You're in Canada, and yeah, I got that. Well, listen, there's a lot of stuff. This is a very pregnant question. First of all, they gave you antidepressants. Okay, so in other words, they gave you They gave you a drug that blocked the natural process of a nerve. When a nerve fires, when a nerve makes it makes this little vacuole of a chemical, and it pushes it out, and it's right next to the other nerve. It's called a synapse, and that chemical comes out and it touches the other nerve, and it gets the message, and then it flies. So that chemical that's between nerves that tells that nerve fire in what direction, depending on the chemical it produces, it's called a neurotransmitter. Serotonin is one of the neurotransmitters, like dopamine, epinephrine. Now, when a cell fires, when the cell produces that chemical, it quickly picks up any remaining, because if it stays in there, it'll keep firing it. You'll be like this, which is what cocaine and speed, methamphetamine do. They keep it there, so you keep firing. It keeps firing. So so even though there's no real proof that serotonin, the relationship between serotonin and depression, uh, they just found it can make people happier if they give them these drugs, and these drugs are called SSRIs, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. It doesn't allow the cell to pick it back up, so it stays there. Same thing coke does, same thing amphetamine does at a much higher level. So they're giving us that, right? When we get the teenage years, we start getting the antidepressants, right? But prior to that, they're gonna say, hey, this kid, there's something wrong with this kid who wants to go outside and play. Are you kidding? We got to diagnose that. That's just not right. I mean, what do you mean want to go out and play? Huh? You want you to sit in your seat and look at that book, and I want you to listen and raise your hand if you got to go to the bathroom. Okay? And I want you not to do this, and I eat this. What? You don't want to do it? Here, give him this drug. What's it called? Ritalin, Adderall. Yeah, he's got a disease. You know what I mean? A disease. It's called attention deficit disorder. Right? He can't pay attention to what we're talking about. That's a disease. Am I making this up? Am I? Is this like a fantasy? No. Is this real? Yes. When does it happen? All the time. There are now maybe 1.5, maybe 2 generation of people that grew up from the age of whatever, 4 or 5, taking speed, Ritalin. They grew up on it. Now they're adults, and you're saying, all right, now we don't want you taking any of these drugs right there. They're illegal. Well, but you were prescribed. All right, we'll give you Adderall the rest of your life. But you know what? I think you're a little depressed too. So I'm going to give you this crazy, man. We're taking this drug. It's crazy. I hope you guys know. I think you do. That's why you're here. How insane this is that we're taking, that we're going along with this. What we're going along with it. Okay, take this, doctor. Okay, what the? How did this happen? Well, I'll tell you how. It'll be in my second opinion book coming out. True second opinion. I'll show you how it happened. Anyway, here. So she got out of prison because they poisoned her. She stopped taking it. Now, okay, that's that. The other thing I want to talk about from this question here is that she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. She had pain in her legs, so she said it was arthritis. And then her feet felt like they were on fire and burning. Okay, wait. So, fibromyalgia. What does that mean? Fiber. What are fibers? Tendons, ligaments, connective tissue. Okay. Myalgia. My is muscle. Algia is pain. So we've got tendon, muscle, pain. Okay, I got that. And To say that's a diagnosis, what does that mean? That's what the person's feeling. That's like saying he's diagnosed with this guy's laughing all the time. He's diagnosed with happy. He's a happy. You know, put it on his chart. This guy's a happy. You know, and I think he's too happy. You're gonna have to do something about his happiness. Just a little too much happy. You know, I want him to fit in. You know, how can he go to work if he's happy? You got people. I don't want people happy to go to work. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so and then so the pain, arthritis, arth is joint, arthro joint. Itis is inflammation. She had inflammation in her joint. Yeah, all right, and that's what's causing pain. All right, yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, that's it. Well, that's what it is. There's no it. Why do I have pain in my joints? That doesn't matter. Just take this pill. It'll go away. Okay. My doctor told me to do this. And you know, my doctor is really a nice person. They really care about me. But they killed your mother, man. That's okay. They're really nice. They didn't mean to. They're trying to help. Okay. Right? Yeah. Right. We should do a show on this. It's got to be a show. We got to have a it's got to be like this. Some sort of comedy show. You know, the kind of comedy that makes you cry. Actually, all comedy makes you cry. I mean, that's why we laugh. Anyway, this poor woman she's running around being like beaten up psychologically, chemically. I mean, and as soon as she gets a chance, she stops taking them. So this poor lady. Now, I just want to tell you that the idea of the ivermectin and fenbendazole, all that are yeah, because we all need to do that. However, why do you think? Oh, you thought it was for the diverticulitis. That's right. Now, what is diverticulitis? It's inflammation of diverticuli. What are diverticuli? If you have many diverticuli, then you have a condition called diverticulosis. Osis means condition of. Itis means inflammation of that condition of. All right, so what are diverticuli? They're little outpocketings between the muscles in the colon. You can have a diverticula. You can have a polyp. You can have it on the larynx. So anywhere, but anyway, in the colon, diverticuli. So, and why do they develop? Do you know why they develop? Anybody know? Okay, there's several reasons. You have a dysmotility. I love those words. DYS. Dys means not quite right. Motility, motion. So the motion is not quite right in the gut. All right. So and what they've noticed is that there's alterations in the musculature of the colon. Muscles in the colon. What are you talking about? Okay, the colon has these little muscles, and the colon goes. It's got. You ever see? It's got like those little. What do you call it? I don't know words for that, but anyway, yeah. So, so where those there's a muscle tissue there, and so if it squeezes this one, if they squeeze in consecutively, it'll push things along. It's called um, uh, uh, wow. I got to start sleeping more. Anyway, peristalsis. It's called peristalsis. Right. Now, so they say there's a disorder in that. Well, how did that disorder happen? How did it stop doing that? Right. And so what they do is they take a piece of it and they look at it under the microscope and they say, well, you know what? There's a lot of elastin. I mean, there's more elastin and there's more collagen. And the ratio is not quite the same between, collagen 1 and 2 and stuff like that. All right, yeah, that's yeah, But why? How did he get there? Don't ask these questions. We don't care how or why. Why don't you care how or why? What's that going to do for us? What do we want to do? We got to uh, uh, sell these medications. That's our job. We work for, I work for Pfizer and Moderna and Eli Lilly and etc. So that's one thing they found. But why are those? Why are they different? Why is that happening? Why? As it turns out, it's always the same thing. Diet. And for the corpse eaters out there, if you eat, if you're eating corpses, listen. Have you ever heard that expression? You are what you eat. Actually, that expression is not complete. You are what you eat and what you don't excrete. You are what you eat and you don't excrete. Or there's another 4-letter word for it. You are what you eat and what you don't. Yeah, that's what you are. So what did you eat? Corpses. Okay. I love my steak. I only eat fish. Oh, you mean dead fish, right? Yeah. So you eat the corpses of fish, and that's that's different. Different. Well, it ain't a chicken. I don't eat dead birds. I just eat dead fish. How about amphibians? You eat dead amphibians? No, and no. Dead worms? No. Just dead fish. Okay. And you only eat the chicken because it's white. It's white, meaning there's no blood in that particular muscle. But you know what? If you ever tried this, I'm not going to try it, but I'm assuming it would happen. You grab a chicken, a live chicken, and you stab it. I have a feeling blood's going to come out. That's just a feeling. I don't know. So if the blood comes out, that means there was blood in there, and that and so and this whole distinction between red meat and white meat and what now there's the other white meat. What's the other white meat? Pork. Pork's the other white meat. I don't. It's just insane to me. It's insane to me that we some. And by the way, I want you to understand something. Please listen to this very carefully. This is true. You may not want it to be true, but it's true. At any argument in favor of eating, okay, I'll use your word, meat. It's not meat, of eating dead animals. Any argument in favor of eating animals, that same argument would justify eating humans. Yeah, because if you eat human meat, you're going to get everything you need because the humans already got all the stuff you need, so you're going to get it, right? But you want to make sure it's a well-nourished human. So we're going to raise them. We're going to keep them. How are we going to raise these humans? If we want really a healthy human that we want to eat, I don't know. So let's use the mentality of a professional animal eater, and now let's go talk to the lion or a tiger. Now, what kind of animal do you want to eat? Tiger, lion. Pointing over to those wildebeest, pointing over to those zebras, all those gazelles. You want to eat those? Why? Because they're strong. They have a lot of energy. What do they eat? Well, they eat plants. So they're eating plants and they're strong in their energy. Are you going to eat them and you think you're going to get strong? Yeah. Well, how long do they live? Wow. Some of them live up to 90 years, 60, 50, 60. And how long do you live? Well, 15 years. So it's not working, right? You're eating these things. But it's been passed down from generation to generation. I can't. My grandpa, everybody. We've always. So why aren't you eating like the animals that eat the animals? They don't taste good. Plus, we don't get much out of them because they're like third hand already, third hand of the energy. I gotcha. I guess. And how do you eat these guys? Oh, you eat them alive. You don't like the corpses? Nah. We save the corpses for the vultures and the dogs and the hyenas. Yeah. And then also there's those two-legged creatures over there. They like corpses. Yeah. The one's wearing pants. Oh, that one's wearing a skirt. Yeah. They like corpses too. All right. So that's what Mr. Lion told us. You saw me. I was talking. All right. I don't know. Did I get the point across? I'm sure some of you said, "I don't want to hear this guy. I'm a if I didn't eat that, I wouldn't be alive today." If I didn't get that mammogram, I wouldn't be alive today. What do you think? Yeah, the mammogram saved your life. Yeah. Well, it helped me find. Okay. We got to talk again. We're going to talk again and again. And if I'm making anybody angry, get angry, and then say, you know what? I'm going to prove to that guy that he's wrong. Go search. Go to PubMed. Search, and prove it wrong. And then let's talk. If you can see parasites, then it's time to get rid of them. I mean, it's time to get rid of them before you can see them, but yeah. God fed his people fish of 5,000. So I'm going with trusting God and feeding his people fish. Well, Amber, I'm going to tell you something. You're talking about Jesus, and you're talking about the time when he multiplied the fish and he multiplied the bread. Right? And why did Jesus do that? Why did Jesus do anything? Remember what Jesus said. He did it for the glory of God. He didn't do it for any other reason. He didn't do it to show off or anything like that. He was doing it for the glory of God. That's what he said. That's why he raised Lazarus. All the things he did. All right? For the glory of God. So now, that's what they were eating. Can you imagine if Jesus came there and said, you know what? Forget this. I know you want fish and I know you want bread, but I'm handing out Caesar salads. Okay, who's going to get in line for the Caesar salad? Or we're going to give broccoli here. That's not what they ate. It didn't make sense, and that wasn't it. And Jesus didn't come to give us lessons on food. It was showing the miracle of God, of God, just to multiply them. That was the whole idea of what they're eating. That was the idea. He fed the multitudes what they were eating. Right? He didn't come to teach about nutrition. That wasn't the purpose. So, yeah. By the way, what happened with Daniel? What happened with Daniel? Do you remember with Daniel? First chapter, Daniel. Right? He's at the king. He goes, listen, I know you want to give us, steaks and hang out and drink and hang out with, go to the what do you call it? The go-go bars or whatever. You know what? My guys, our army, we're just gonna go to bed early. We're not gonna eat animals. Is that okay? Okay. And they won. They won the war. By the way, when God made Adam and Eve, right? He put them in a garden. What did he say? What was it? Genesis 1:29. He said, what? Eat fish? No. He didn't say eat fish. He said what? I give you every fruit, everything bearing seed, for you it shall be meat. He said it, not me. I didn't say it. Yeah, but people were living 912 years in those days. And then came the flood with Noah, and he said, all right, you guys, you're going to act like hyenas. You might as well eat like hyenas. Gave permission to eat dead animals. So they started to eat dead animals. What happened? Within 5 generations, instead of 912 years as the length of life, it was down to 120. And today, what? Today, if you make it to 90, you got tubes coming out of your nose, you're wearing diapers, and you're in a care home where you're being cared for. Now, tell me what I just said is not true. And I know you got all these ways. I'm not going to hear what he's saying. What can I say? I mean, I don't know what to say. Anyway, yeah, I know the Bible. I've read it multiple times, multiple times, and I gotta say, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's certain parts I really love, but anyway, um, so I can go off. See, I'm ready to go off. I need some Ritalin, so I don't. I'm gonna go off. Start thinking about other things. I gotta stay focused. Focus. You know what's? Can you say focus backwards? That's right. Suck off. Hey, I'm not saying bad words. I'm just saying focus backwards. Suck off. Whatever that means. Anyway, your poor friend, off the antidepressants. We got to change the name. It's not an antidepressant. It's a nerve dysregulator. It's a neurotransmitter disturber. So what does she need to do? Your friend there, what does she need to do? Okay. She needs to reestablish her gut biome, healthy gut biome, by changing her diet. Why did she get diverticulitis? Because the real reason she got diverticulitis because she didn't eat fiber. What's fiber? How do you eat fiber? You mean eat? You mean get like a towel and eat a towel or a shirt? Is that what you mean by fiber? No. Well, I mean it's fiber, yeah, but I wouldn't recommend eating a shirt. I guess you could have. It depends on what you put on it, right? I mean, the shirt sandwich. If it wasn't dyed, okay, organic shirt sandwich might not. Anyway, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about not college. I'm talking about cellulose. Cellulose is what plants are made of. Okay, and that's fiber. And since we were designed to eat that way, what was he talking about? We were designed to. What did we get in the Garden of Eden to eat? Yeah, that's what we got to eat was in the Garden of Eden. That's what it. And guess what? Let's say you don't think all that's true, right? Okay, so now you think instead we evolved from, well, we started out as bacteria, and then somehow we became fish and insects. Yeah, just evolution, right? And then we became reptiles, and then we became mammals, and then we became gorillas, and then we became human. All right, so you're thinking that way, okay? Now, so therefore, let's say we're going to go along. That's how it happened. We just from bacteria to gorilla to human. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So it means since since all these humans are like this guy's eating like monkey brain, this guy's eating bull testicles, and this guy's eating uh, uh, bull muscle. This guy's eating. I killed my own elk. I killed my own. Okay, eating moose and muscle, corpse, dead muscle. Yeah. Um, and the other one's eating dead fish, and this one's some. Oh wow, there's one eating lettuce and tomatoes and broccoli. Can you imagine? Anyway, so I can see they're all these humans are eating different things. So what are we supposed to eat? How do I know? You go back and you talk to the gorilla. Remember, we came from the gorilla, yeah, and the chimpanzee. Let's see what they're eating. Oh, I see. I see. That's what we're supposed. Well, anyway, there's no way not to think. There's no way not to come to this conclusion unless what? Unless you don't want. I'm not going to conclude. I'm not. No matter what you tell me, I'm not going to conclude it. No, I'm not going to conclude it. No, no. I don't care that it makes sense. I don't care that in every way it's true. So that's why I'm making this. Soon I'm making a seminar or webinar, and it's gonna be the webinar to end all the debates. And the only way you're gonna debate that after you're done is because you didn't really watch it. You watched it with your eyes closed and your ears, and you're going, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's how you watched it. I mean, metaphorically, of course. Anyway, a lack of fiber, a lack of exercise, and guess what else? You'll never get it. Yeah, you got it. Okay, and that's the gut microbiome. If the gut microbiome is off, it winds up causing it. So those are what result in the colon going and all these little things. You know, this area pops out between the muscles. It pops out between the muscles because it's going like this. It's not doesn't have the fiber to get the good smooth peristalsis, so it's going like this. And so they say, oh, it's a movement disorder. Now, it's all due to the same thing. It didn't have the right stuff in it, and the stuff wasn't eating human food. So she wasn't eating human food. I don't know her. I've never met her, but I can tell you if she's got diverticulosis, and the itis just means that they got inflamed for one reason or another. Maybe there's some bacterial colonies in there. Who knows what it is? They got inflamed. It's itis. Okay, that's what happened. But it started out because she didn't eat human food. So that's what she's got to do. She's got to eat human food. And by the way, it's not debatable. I mean, yeah, some people can debate that a chair is not a chair. I mean, you could debate that a chair is not really a chair. Next question. This is Edith, and she says, can you nebulize sodium bicarb if they think they might have lung CFCs? If so, what dilution is it? Is 0.01% saline? Are there any negatives about this action? I think that's a good question about the nebulizing sodium bicarb. So I think you all know that. I think you know to nebulize means to inhale it, and so we see nebulization taking place in like for people that have asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary conditions, right? They put some albuterol, or which is a bronchodilator, in with some saline, and then they breathe it, and that bronchodilator opens their lungs, and it relieves the symptoms of the asthma, which is tight airways. And the thing to do is, but they're not going to do it. Don't do it. But they're not going to do it, and that is to find out why are the airways tight. How did this happen? Can we stop it? Don't talk about that. Just take the albuterol, and you're going to need it for life, because we're not going to find out why you got it. We're just going to give you the albuterol, and that way we can keep selling it. Yeah, that works good. That's for everybody. And look, you're going to be happy because you can breathe. All right. So anyway, you may think I'm being facetious. You may think it's a parody, but it's not. It's actually the way it is. What I'm doing is what it is. I might be doing it with a different voice, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing. I'm not. There's no hyperbole here. I'm telling you. Okay. Now, so can I absorb? Can you inhale sodium bicarb? Absolutely. Yeah. Now, in fact, there is a whole protocol for in case we get exposed to nuclear fallout. And we can get exposed to nuclear fallout from two ways. One is that one of our nuclear labs or generator, whatever, like Chernobyl and Fukushima, breaks down and we get leakage. And the other one is war, using nuclear weapons. So if we do, there's a whole protocol set up, and one of the protocols is to nebulize both a glutathione and bicarbonate. Now they mix it together, and if you're going to mix it together, you got to drop in the bicarb very slowly, so it doesn't. You don't do it, because they also neutralize each other. You don't do that. You do them separately. You would nebulize the glutathione at one time, and you'd nebulize the bicarb, right? And so, that's just that's the way you have to do it. So, anyway, so the way and the bicarb, the way you do it, you get some sterile water, right? The bacteriostatic water. It's pharmaceutical grade sterile water, right? And you dissolve 500 milligrams, which is 0.5 grams of the sodium bicarb into 10 milliliters of sterile water. That will give you a 5% bicarbonate solution. Okay, so you can take about a half or 1 milliliter of that and put that in the nebulizer and nebulize it. That's it. Pretty easy. Now, you can overdo it if you did it too often, too much. You could overdo it and cause actually an alkalosis, because the lungs are a way of getting things into your body, right? Okay, so you don't want to overdo anything like that, right? Yeah. And then the glutathione is another one, right? Glutathione is, as you know, it's you're not going to take the glutathione up into your cells, and your cells are going to use it because your cells are making their own glutathione. But that glutathione will help neutralize things that are outside. Yeah. And oh, excuse me. So anyway, and so if you've got a condition like CFCs, or you've been exposed to something, or you just you live in Mexico City or LA or Chicago, Detroit, London, you can do it once a day or twice a day. If you do way more than that, you're going to wind up, like I said, with alkalosis, which is as bad as acidosis. The pH of our blood has to stay between 7.35 and 7.4. We can't get above it. We can't get below it. We can't get acidic. We can't get alkaline. More than we are. Right? So anyway, these questions are extremely pregnant today. Meaning what? What do you mean by, what did I say? Was that what's the word? Offensive? Did I offend someone? I'm sure I offended someone somewhere. It would be hard not to offend someone, right? All right, so that's how you nebulize the sodium bicarb. By the way, what they do for these for the nuclear exposure is IV vitamin C, IV glutathione separately. um, I would add them. I would also add separately an alpha lipoic acid and vitamin C, antioxidant level, 25 grams. You're going to take iodine. You're going to take all the stuff we talk about. You're going to take. You're also going to take extra. You're going to get tocotrienols, tocopherols, and you can get that from the raw. They get it from uh, the casings of different kinds of wheats and other kinds of grains. They get that, and anyway, there's lots of places to get these tocotrienols and tocopherols, which are what we call vitamin E. And then you want the carotenoids, and you can get astaxanthin, which you can just get the balasta. So if you're doing balasta, you're doing those nebulized things, you're taking iodine, you're going to be fine. I mean, yeah, your skin will fall off, your hair will fall off, but you'll be fine inside. The thing is, we got to not let this happen. Instead of just like noticing that, oh, look at that's happening now. Oh, now they're going to put us in prison. Oh, 15-minute cities, smart cities. Oh, okay. Well, I guess you can't you can't fight City Hall. Okay. Good. I'm glad I didn't offend want to offend anybody. I'm just trying to share my stuff, my mind. That might be a nasty thing to do, right? Sharing my mind. But what else? I don't have anything else to share. I can't show you his mind. I don't know his mind. I don't even know my mind. I just open my mouth and stuff comes out. Um, where were you guys? Here you are. I lost you. There you are. Okay. Now, um, last question is can one nebula? Oh, no, that was that one. This is Sarah. She says, what would be your recommendation for someone with stage 1 CLL regarding alternative CFC treatments? I have been told that I do not require treatment at this time. However, I am at high risk for the CLL to return into an aggressive lymphoma. Okay, Sarah, yeah, you're right. And they told you no. They said you do not require treatments. No, what they should have said is that we don't know what to do. We have no idea how to. We don't know. We don't know what it is. We don't know. We just know that if it gets bigger, we're gonna bomb it. We got all these poisons. We're gonna bomb it. But what is it? Who knows? Genetic, your genes. Bad luck. I mean, that. If you like really question these people down, you're going to find out that not only do they know nothing, but what it is that they think they know is extremely dangerous. Their perceptual set is way different than mine. All right, and yours hopefully. Okay, so now what's happening is CLA, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, or lymphoma, or leukemia. Uh, Lymphoma. Leukemias and lymphomas are same thing, really. It, but so the chronic means that it's kind of smoldering, and then it'll have acute phases, and then you just hope that one of those acute phases doesn't just keep going. And and the reason, so what do? You do everything that we always talk about, Sarah. You make sure you go to a real biological dentist. They do a 3D cone beam CT. They find out what's going on and they fix it. And you're going to do a juice cleanse, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Eat nothing, just drink 3 liters of fresh juice that you made every day. Make it delicious. Put an extra apple, whatever it is that you need to make it delicious. Then, um, what else are you going to do? You're going to get colonics, clean out your colon. You're going to go find a certified lymphatic therapist to get lymphatic therapy help your lymph moving. You're going to go to some doctor who, or any kind of person that's licensed to do that, a nurse practitioner, a PA, physician's assistant, and whoever, and get your hormones balanced. Got to get your hormones, and then you're going to let your gut heal, and then you're going to get your autonomic nervous system balanced, and then you're going to learn to turn the mind off. Remember, it's a good tool, but if you don't keep it busy on a particular subject, it starts driving you crazy. So, anyway, and then we're going to use different medications and stuff like that. But we got it. And then once you finish the juice cleanse, then you're going to eat human food, and you're going to eat it at a specific time. You're going to go to bed early, blah, 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 blah. It's a whole thing. That's what you can do. And if you do all that, it won't come back. It never went away, actually. But if you do all that, what's going to happen is it won't be happy because remember, it is not a thing. It is an adaptive process. It's adapting to. And if you do this way, you change your body's chemistry and the way it works, there's nothing to adapt to. It's all perfect. There's no adaptation required. So that's all. It's like if I stop eating a lot of stuff that turns into sugar, then my body doesn't need to be insulin resistant because there's no sugar. So you make you bring about the conditions so that your biochemistry, biology, physiology is all being satisfied, and there's no excess of anything, and there's no poisons. Then there's no adaptive requirement. I mean, it's that simple. Yes, it's not easy, but it's that simple. Simple, easy, different. Okay. All right. Uh, like something very difficult could be easy, such as jumping off a cliff. Easy, but all right. So anyway, uh, it's 9 o'clock, and I have to go because I have to do this other thing. And thank you for coming, for joining, and I uh, hope you show up next week and tell your friends, because we got to get more people doing this. Because you know what, like when I listen to other people and I read what other people saying, like no, I mean, I if you know someone who really gets it, please tell me, because I don't want to read them. I want to meet them. I want to hear what there's. I got to hear it. George Malcolmus, he got it. Fred Bishi, what's his name? Paul Nissan. These people get it, but not many people get it. All right, and of course they're not trained to do the whole story, like hospitals and stuff. Anyway, if you know, okay. So the point is here. So this voice that I have needs to be heard. We got to get it out there, because I'm going to leave you with this. There's no such thing as diseases. You don't catch things that don't exist. You get the disease. So you can't get rid of your disease because you don't have a disease. If you have any deviation from optimal functioning, it's because you're not satisfying your biological needs. So your body can't function optimally. How do I correct it? Live a life that satisfies all your biological and psychological needs, and you will be super. I mean, it's not only that simple, it's 100% true. And the only reason, if you had all that and you didn't function, would be if, you weren't optimally functioning, would be is if you did actually have a genetic problem. And about maybe as much as 5% of the human race has these genetic problems. And you never see them. They're in institutions. They don't really live that long. They can't reproduce. And it's just, but the rest of us can't blame the genes. All right. All right. All right. All right. So you all need a parasite. You join the parasite group, you guys. Come on. Gosh. But also, about the webinar I have on at the website drlodi.com. There's a webinar there on parasites, and I use that nasty word, Sagittarius. But what Bible I read is King James version, and I look at the other ones, and they're saying the same. They're paraphrasing, but it's not as beautiful. I mean, it's really stupid language. It's kind of like when I read, if I read a novel from 1890, beautiful English, and now I read the new edition. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm saying is true. So we've dumbed down people so that they don't. I can't really think. You're making it too complicated for me. I mean, can you just tell it to be straight? I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, I didn't never heard that word before. You did it. Okay. Anyway, you guys. So what do you cop? What I got, my See you next week. Or if you're in the group, I'll see you tomorrow. No, wait, how do we close this? How do we close?